Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Random Musings from the Clinical Trials Guru. Hello to everybody out there in YouTube world and podcast world, on Instagram Live. Put the questions in. I got a very special guest today, all the way from the United Kingdom, Ross Jackson. Ross, he's one of my Patreon members. We have this monthly mastermind as well as weekly, I guess, mini videos. Sometimes not so many, but I try to keep them mini videos on how to use social media to promote yourself, especially if you're in life sciences. So Ross, Ross actually wrote a book recently,
Right.
Patient Recruitment for Clinical Trials Using Facebook Ads by Ross Jackson. It's on Kindle, it's on paperback. I bought it. I'm in the process of reading it. Ross is an example of somebody who is putting what they know out there in the marketplace. Amazon is the third biggest search engine. We're going to get into why he wrote the book and some strategies, like kind of like a little sneak peek of a Patreon session. But we also wanted to talk about Ross's his career, his background, how he got started in clinical research, and then why patient recruitment, why Facebook, and why now? Why do this now? So a lot of whys, Ross. But before we get into all of that, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's great. Thank you.
And what? So who are you, Ross? Like, how did you? What's your background, and how did you stumble into clinical research?
Yeah, well, I've been doing digital marketing since the late '90s, actually, and I started off doing search engine optimization, things like that. When pay-per-click advertising came out, I switched to focus on that because I realised it was probably the most controllable and effective form of advertising yet devised, I would say.
Okay.
That was mostly Google I was working with. Well, originally Overture, but that was many years ago. Then Google, and then Facebook advertising came onto my radar 7 or 8 years ago, and I thought, wow, this is better than Google. So I started to work on that. I was doing mostly direct response lead generation, so lead generation for a variety of different companies. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was 6 years ago, an advertising agency approached me to do a lead generation job for a clinical trial. And I thought, okay, I've never done that before. I'll get involved in it and work on it. And I just thought, wow, this is a perfect synergy of my talents with the lead generation and what is required. Patient recruitment just appears to be a never-ending problem. It never seems to go away. It always seems to be the
Yeah.
biggest problem in the industry. So I thought, wow, I'll focus on that, and probably 90%, even more than 90% now of what I do is patient recruitment through well, it's not only Facebook ads, but it's primarily Facebook ads. Yeah.
So you work for an agency or it's your own agency? What is that?
I do it for me, but I'm usually people will come and approach me, or I'll do it. I'll either do it direct to the client, whoever they may be, or an advertising agency will say we need some help in this area.
Okay, okay. So you're doing it for yourself, as far as the ads,
Yeah.
running the ads, and all that. And
Yes.
you've been doing it for the last 5 years, patient recruitment.
Yeah. Primarily patient recruitment for 5 years. Yeah.
And who've been your clients? Is it usually the sponsors, or has it started becoming the sites?
It's a mix of. It's actually primarily been the CROs, actually.
CROs. Okay. Over there,
Yeah,
are they all
which is
UK
interesting.
based or are they worldwide?
No, worldwide. But I have worked with all. I've worked with sponsors, CROs, and sites. And I'd say mostly the CROs, usually because what they have in their head is that Facebook ads is a great way to rescue a trial. So if they need to get, 2 weeks worth of quick lead generation, that's where that comes in.
And is that true or false that it's Facebook ads is a good way to rescue a study
It's
needing patients?
It's very true, but it's not my ideal scenario. I recommend people do it all the time because, well, for me, Facebook has worked better than anything else I've worked on in terms of recruiting patients. But certainly, if you've got 2 weeks to go and you need to recruit a large number of patients, Facebook is a good way to do it. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And then what have been some of the main challenges in running Facebook ads? Maybe we can get really technical here for a second for the people that want to learn more. First of all, you want to learn more about this? I mean, anyone wanting to get into the industry, I just had an interview yesterday with Simone Tomlinson. She's this coordinator, study coordinator from Columbus, Ohio. We'll be releasing that video soon, but everyone on Instagram Live get to see it right like it live, right? Just like this one. She started out interning at the site level, and her pitch was, I'm going to help you recruit patients. So can you imagine if you complemented that pitch, which everybody, by the way, anybody can do patient recruitment, okay, with Ross's book and Ross's strategies on Facebook, using Facebook ads for clinical research, like for patient recruitment? I mean, literally, the name of the book is Patient Recruitment for Clinical Trials Using Facebook Ads. Like, you couldn't get more literal of a
Hmm.
title. Like, this is exactly, and that was strategic, Ross. I know it
Yeah.
was for what you want to do. So imagine spending $3, $3.99, complementing what you know, what you think you know about recruiting patients with Ross's strategies. Now you have a blueprint. Most sites have no clue, Ross, no clue how to even set up a Facebook ad. And so I want to talk to you about a little bit of that. But what have been some of the pain points you've seen, like if we can get really technical with running a Facebook ad? And I guess, let's say for everybody, but maybe for the CROs or the sites.
Yeah. There's quite a few problematic issues in the technicalities. One of the ones is dealing with, if it's a large organisation like a sponsor or a CRO, they usually have an IT department who does all sorts of things like Facebook ads access, pixel integration on the site. If you're dealing with a site directly, you can usually get that done quicker. So I usually quite enjoy that with a site because I can just talk them through it. But those are the two key problems in the first instance are getting the actual ad account access, getting it set up correctly. The second one is getting the pixel set up correctly to track the leads. The pixel is what Facebook uses to track registrations for trials. Oh, well, all sorts of things, but that's in our case, that's what it's doing.
How complicated is it to set up this pixel, and does it work with any kind of website you have? Like, let's say we use Squarespace for our
Mm-hmm.
sites, and most of our sites in our site network use Squarespace because it has good blogging and podcasting capabilities. How simple is it? Is it simple as just copying and pasting a code into the page header, or is it more complex than that?
It is that simple, and people try and make it more complicated, but it should be that simple. There are the other thing that the Facebook Pixel has is different types of codes depending on what you want to track. So if you just want the base pixel code, it is very simple. You can just drop it into WordPress, Squarespace, whatever, and it will be in on your site where it needs to be. If you want to go a bit more technical, and this is a fight I always have with web developers, the best method of tracking a lead or a registration to a trial is to have a success page, so a thank you page for thank you for filling in our form. And if the pixel's on that, it's very easy to then track that back to the advert that sent the person to your website. Developers often say, you don't need the thank you page, we'll just have this little thing that pops up, says thank you for submitting the form on the same page. And it's always more complex with the pixel to use that method, which I've always found doesn't in fact work that well. So I always recommend have a separate success page,
Hmm.
put the pixel on that, then you can do it from start to finish.
And this is all covered in the book, in your
It
Kindle
is
book?
actually, yeah, that's
Wow.
it mentioned that.
So someone could
Yeah.
literally know very little about Facebook other than having their own profile, read your book, and figure out how to run a basic Facebook ad campaign for a clinical research site.
And that's what I've tried to do actually. I mean, I've put links to. I've not gone into super technical detail about setting up a Facebook ads account, etc., because Facebook does that quite well itself. So I've provided links to here's where you'll find what you need to do. I'm focusing on what you need to do specifically to recruit patients for trials. So yes, someone could read part one of the book is based on that. I go through setting up a dummy campaign for a psoriasis trial, and people could follow the steps in that, and at the end of it have a working trial, a working
Uh,
campaign.
Somebody's asking what is the name of the book. So the exact name of the book is Patient Recruitment for clinical trials using Facebook ads by Ross Jackson, one of our very own Patreon members. All right. This is what happens. Did you have this idea before the Patreon?
I did have the idea of writing the book, but certainly being in the Patreon spurred me to do it. Yeah.
That's good. That's what we're trying to do, guys. Create change in the industry and life sciences through using digital marketing. So, what are some of the biggest, like, I guess from your experiences, what are some of the rookie mistakes that sites make or CROs make or sponsors make when they try to run their own Facebook campaigns? Is it not having a pixel, or like what are some of the what are some of the rookie mistakes?
I suppose there's two big mistakes that spring to mind. One is not giving it enough time. People, because you can control it so easily, people set up their ads and then they look at it an hour later and they think, oh, nothing's happened. You've got to give it enough time. I would say you've got to give it a few days in reality, because the way Facebook works is it works better the more data it has. So it's running longer. It's then targeting the right people. You tell Facebook, I want people to sign up for my trial. The Facebook pixel recognizes, right, people who've signed up for the trial are people who match these type of data points, which will be demographics, activity, behavior online. So it'll then show your ads to as many people like that as it can, which means the results get better and better over time. One of the big mistakes that people have is they think they look at it after 2 days and they think, oh, this particular ad set isn't working that well, I'll turn it off. Where actually, had they left it another day or two, it may have come good. In fact, it usually would get to work better. So that's one of the big mistakes, not leaving it long enough. Another one is when people talk about targeting. Facebook targeting is one of their killer apps that made them really, Google had to up its game to get as good as Facebook when it brought in this. So it's interest targeting. So based on behaviours of people online. People look at this and they think, right, with clinical trials, it's difficult to find an exact match for an interest. There are some things like Alzheimer's is there, you can get psoriasis association, things like that, but it's difficult to be exact. So people think, well, I can't find that match. There's nothing I can target, so I can't actually target people properly. What they're forgetting is that targeting isn't just about the people you target, it's about the words you use. So I mentioned this in the book, there's a big recognition factor with Facebook. So it's like reading a newspaper or a magazine, if people still do that. So if you see an advert in there that's talking about something you're interested in, you'll read it. The same with Facebook. You're scrolling through your Facebook feed and something says psoriasis in the headline, you think, hang on, I've got psoriasis, let me have a look at that. So that's an element of targeting in the actual ad copy that you're using can work as well. If you can't target someone through their interests, you can target them through the message you put to them.
I see. So yeah, because I've run my own campaigns in the past for Facebook, and then we've used agencies, like small agencies, to help out, and I'm sure they do a much better job than we do. But I think for the sites, I think it makes sense for you to run your own ad, to learn how to run your own ads. You want to outsource as well, but the reason you want to run your own ads is because usually, and I don't know how you work, Ross, but usually when you use an agency, they'll create their own landing page, so then they essentially own the data that comes through because it's their properties, it's their website, their landing page. Whereas when you're a site, you create your own ad campaign, you can do it all on your website, right? Am I right with this?
Yeah, no, and that's actually the way I prefer to work. If I'm working with the sites, I prefer to get them to have their own data, really. I don't want to build up data for myself. Agencies often do, and some of the patient recruitment firms are thinking, right, they'll have this database they can use in the future,
right,
for any future trials where people didn't fit the criteria.
Right.
But I think it works better at a site level if you've got your own landing page, your own website talking about the trial. Even better if it's specific. If you could build a specific micro site about that trial, with all the data, all the information in it about the trial you're running, send people to that site, have a Facebook page that's specifically about that particular trial, that matches up with the ads. That's perfect. I mean, if sites are wanting to do that, that's great. So they can set up their own ads, set up their own ad account, manage everything that happens, following the process in the book or whatever process they want to follow. They've got it all, and it should work well for them. Yeah.
So you literally like mapped it out for the sites. As we wrap up, Ross, I mean, first of all, it's a quick read, the book. It's what, like 100 pages or
130
so?
pages. Yeah, 130 pages. Yeah.
Quick read, lots of charts, right? Lots of images. So I mean, you literally can read this like in a day or two. I have not read through it yet, but I've browsed it, and I mean, you know, for the value add that you're giving for $3.99. And by the way, we're talking strategies of, are you releasing it for free yet anywhere on your website, or you haven't set that up yet?
Yeah, I have. I've actually I've given it away for a PDF version through LinkedIn. So anyone who approaches
Wow.
me on LinkedIn, I'll say I've sent it back. I've sent it to a few people. I'm going to put it on the website where people can download it for free
Okay.
as well. I find myself, I've done this a lot where I've downloaded. That's why I thought it would work better as an actual book, a physical book, Kindle and paperback. I've downloaded hundreds of PDFs over the years, ebooks, and unless I print them out, I don't actually get around to reading them,
Yeah.
and I don't print out that many of them. So I
Right.
thought some people will want the free PDF. Fine, they can have it. You're more likely to read it, I think, if you've got it in a Kindle paperback format.
Yeah, I think the free PDF, that's smart, Ross. I love that. So we're going to have the link to Ross's LinkedIn underneath the video and in the show notes in the podcast, his LinkedIn profile. I'll also have the link to the Amazon store where you can buy the book. I think a lot of people are going to see the PDF. Those that are interested are going to want the paperback or the Kindle. Because I mean, it's not expensive. We're not talking $70, you know, like some of these books.
Yeah.
We're talking $3.99, $7.99. Okay, so that's a good price point, Ross. As we wrap up, what are your thoughts on Instagram ads? Because you know Facebook owns Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and I've found for my academies more success. It's more from a branding perspective, but even like direct clicks to the website, cheaper and I guess more effective from Instagram. What's going on? What am I doing wrong on Facebook? Same ad.
Uh, That's interesting. Well, Instagram ads tend to be slightly cheaper as well. The For your own branding, that's interesting that you are getting more from Instagram with Facebook. I'd have to look at what the settings were there to see why that was working. Maybe who you're targeting even. But what's tended to happen, I've spoken with people at Facebook about this. Instagram is much more now about lifestyle. So the pictures you see on Instagram, it's Kardashians, etc. It's that lifestyle type of image that people want to portray. So it's actually difficult for your message to get through against that. The sort of images you can use for clinical trials are not going to compete with somebody leaning against a Ferrari. So people are just not going to see. I've not found Instagram work as well. In fact, I did probably 3 years ago. Instagram was working very well for clinical trial recruitment. It stopped working as well maybe 2 years ago. And then for the last 18 months, I'll just do a sort of small amount of Instagram ads. Facebook is much better and converts much better.
Yeah, I agree. For the patient recruitment, I agree. For my own academies, you know, I see that Instagram works better. So it's kind of,
Interesting.
you know, I had to get familiar with both Facebook and Instagram. But these tools, these platforms are always evolving, always changing.
Yeah.
There's TikTok now. Who knows if it's going to be banned? Looks like it's not going to be banned. You know, Snapchat a few years ago, you can geofence like really local. I mean, you can own like a filter. There's always going to be creative ways to recruit. But if you're someone trying to get into the industry, I mean, look what Ross did. Ross got into the industry by accident because he was good at running ads online. And pharma company reached out and said, "Hey, Ross, we need your help with patient recruitment." So this just goes to show you guys out there listening and watching, if you're trying to get into the industry, patient recruitment's the way to go. Like Ross had I mean, he didn't care about clinical research like 6 years ago, right? Like you didn't really even,
Not
you weren't
really,
even
no.
aware of what it was really, right?
Not that much. No, I'd sort of heard of it, but I wasn't involved or interested particularly. No.
And you know what the funny thing is? I mean, you're doing well in your business. The book is going to help you do even better. But if you ever wanted to actually get into clinical research like as a career, the fact that you are a specialist in this space would open so many doors for you. So that's more like becoming a generalist here, like
Yeah.
the next step really is like, and you're already doing it, consultant, and then you can easily get into general marketing for sponsors or sites. And then from there, I mean, once you're in, Ross. Like once you're in the industry, you can do anything, almost anything you want if you work towards it. That's the cool thing about this industry that I really like is like it's tough to get in, but once you're in, literally sky's the limit. It depends on what your skill sets are and what your ambitions are and where you're trying to go. Patient recruitment is the gateway for that. Everyone, whether you're in the industry or trying to get in the industry, needs to read Ross's book. No questions about it. You gotta go get it. He's giving it to you for free on LinkedIn. Okay? But if you have $3.99, what do they call it in the UK? Quid? 3.99
Yes, so
quid?
it's 4 quid. Four
Four
quid. So,
four quid, guys. All right, you go get it, or you get it for 0 quid for free on
yeah.
his LinkedIn. Okay, and just a virtual handshake with Ross. So thank you, Ross, very much. Anything you want to advice you want to give to Guru Nation? The title again, people are asking, is Patient Recruitment for Clinical Trials using Facebook ads. Anything you want to add, Ross, that we didn't cover?
Well, I would just say it's if people are looking to recruit patients for trials at the site level or any, I've worked on campaigns where they've had press advertising and other things going on. I've found that Facebook ads is by far the most effective. So it is. YouTube ads can work as well, and other ads as well. Snapchat can work for a younger audience, that sort of thing. But in fact, probably my next book might be about YouTube ads. But Facebook ads is where I would certainly look at it. It's very cost effective.
Yeah.
Not fantastically easy to set up, but it's easy enough.
The tools are changing constantly. I mean, obviously TV, radio, there's people that we've interviewed that specialize in those. Those work too, daytime TV. You know what's intriguing? And I've interviewed someone like 3 years ago. I was very early on this. Unfortunately, didn't do anything with it. But to recruit adolescents or a younger demo, right? Because there's a lot of adolescent studies, especially ADHD and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Twitch. So these kids are on watching people play video games all day. You can get in front of one of these influencers who has a big channel and sponsor them. And these are their kids themselves, so you can like give them a couple quid, and they're happy talking about your study. Now, of course, if it's adolescents, you got to get parent approval and all that. But the first step, I mean, if you want the attention of the actual adolescents that may qualify for your study, Twitch is a way to go. So this thing never ends, Ross. You'll be in
Mm-hmm.
business forever because this stuff is
Mm-hmm.
constantly changing. What's the person's name on LinkedIn? Ross Jackson. So thank you,
My LinkedIn profile is actually Ross Jackson Marketing is my profile.
Ross Jackson Marketing. I'm gonna put the link in the show note to his LinkedIn. You can get it for free, or on Amazon. I'll have the link as well. I'm gonna end the live stream now. Thank you guys very much. I'll do another live stream in half an hour, a monthly Guru Nation virtual meetup. Thank you. And Ross, thank you very much for coming on. I do want to do, if you have 5 minutes, we're going to stop this recording and do like a 5 minute interview for the Patreon channel, if you have time.
Sure.
Okay, so thank
Sure.
you very much, Ross. Thank you, Guru Nation, for watching, listening, and we'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.